Supreme Court has pulled up Patanjali Ayurved founder Baba Ramdev, dismissing an apology affidavit that was submitted in response to a contempt notice issued to the company. Patanjali has been rapped by the Supreme Court for its misleading ads, especially their claim to cure COVID-19 with their Coronil kit. But an Ayush ministry, which had recommended Coronil, has supported medicine in COVID-19 management and not as a cure. As per Ayush Ministry 2022 letter, Patanjali's 153 misleading ads are under the scanner. In 2022, the Uttarakhand government has banned 5 Patanjali medicines for their claims, but later revoked the same. Now the question here arises is, how could Patanjali claim to treat diseases like COVID, blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes and glaucoma and spread false information? How dangerous is a precedent that has been set by the company at the cost of the health of millions of people in our country? I start my conversation. Joining me on the telecast are a number of esteemed doctors. And I have with me Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. Quickly getting a response from you, sir. You've come on my discussions on the same issue in the past as well. And the point that I want to raise about the malified intent of Patanjali Ayurved to earn crores of rupees for their vested interests and putting the lives and health of millions of people in our country under peril. What should be the most stringent action be taken against them?
Good evening. So I think let's answer this question in 3 quick parts. The first is the advertisements and the proclamations of the entire process of the advertisements of Patanjali as a company have been fraudulent, deceptive, and spreading misinformation. They have been wrong in intent and they have been wrong in content. What really has been proclaimed by them is a one-time magical cure or remedy for chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, chronic kidney diseases, chronic liver diseases. A few years back, they even proclaimed a one-time cure for dengue, for malaria, for epilepsy, for arthritis, cancers, for weight loss, for hair growth, for infertility. And then it came as a big boiling point was COVID. Now, what really happens is when a patient who is suffering from chronic disease and is looking at the wrong end of the barrel of the gun, the patient is fraudulently misled to believe concepts which are scientifically incorrect. So to give you a very quick example, if a patient with chronic kidney disease who's impending for dialysis and transplant stops the routine medication, that patient may actually die. Your window period of survival is shortened because of lack of accurate medicine. The next important point is that we as a field of allopathy, what we call as modern medicine, have never criticized any other field. I feel that homeopathy has its place, Ayurvedic has its place, and so on and so forth. Okay. We do not believe in under any set of circumstances of mixed pathies. We follow our science, but we don't decry other sciences at all. What really happened during that time is that there was an open decrial of a host of doctors which we follow as modern medicine, and to defame them, to say their medicine doesn't work, the vaccine doesn't work, the particular oil which is put in the nostril works. So I think there is a host amount of misinformation.
Just a clarification that I would seek from you is there are a number of companies and products that claim to, dividing the diseases into 2 parts. One, which are chronic diseases. You talk about your blood pressure, you talk about cancer, you talk about glaucoma, you talk about, diseases that come in this category that require urgent attention and prescription by the doctors who are qualified to treat the patient. And on the other hand, when we talk about a number of ailments, for example, weight loss and hair loss and skin pigmentation and so on and so forth, there are often times that a number of these brands, these companies would advertise falsely or otherwise that they are equipped to resolve these issues. And 99 times out of 100, they actually do not. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. they're not really able to find a solution, but here to make a quick buck and fool the person who's actually fallen into the trap that they have advertised.
Yes, just to complete, I think it's important that all advertisements by the government should also be screened. There should be a process, and it's not very difficult. Any advertisement which is misleading or unscientific or makes a person falsely stop the routine medication which is life-saving for him or her and go on and embark on other kinds of remedies should never be allowed to be aired either in print or in electronic media. And I think this should be a learning lesson. To answer your last part of your question, what should be done? I think this should be a case example. This should be a fulcrum point as far as Indian law is concerned, especially in the medical arena. Nothing should be advertised at all, first of all, as far as doctors are concerned. If at all you're giving a particular product information, it has to be accurate. No question about it.
Right. All right. I have also with me a spokesperson of the IMA, Dr. Rita Bakshi. Quickly, a response from you over the writ petition that has been filed by the Indian Medical Association and the number of times affidavits that have been lodged by the defendants, which is the Patanjali Ayurved. The Supreme Court pulling up Patanjali Ayurved. How do you view the government of India and the Uttarakhand government also being part of this, going and supporting instead of pulling Patanjali for its wrongful doings and advertisements?
I think, the Supreme Court has rightly this time, taken cognizance of the fact. See, as, my previous speaker was saying, we are not, we are all pathies. We understand allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda. And with Prime Minister Modi in helm, he realizes and he does say that Indian tradition and Indian medicine have a role. But putting allopathy behind and saying that it is a hoax, it's a farce, it is damaging, and coming from somebody who's a respected person in yoga, he's put us on the map. People follow him. So these sentences should really be taken with a lot of seriousness. And I'm really glad that for once Supreme Court has also pulled him up, and he's here to tender an apology. But no doubt, I think, and all of us as doctors, none of us say that these are useless. We don't call them stupid the way he called allopathy. We know Sadhguru required allopathy. So it's not that. All of us know. There was this Lal Kitab which says in diabetes, go and keep 4 laddu behind the mandir and you will get cured. All of us as scientific people understand that, you have to sift through. You have to sift through knowledge, and you cannot... You cannot just look behind science. We are living in a scientific era. Even homeopathy has to prove itself. Ayurveda also has to prove itself. But this really is beyond imagination. What they said that corona, even the vaccine. I think Prime Minister was the first person to take the jab. So how can you just say that all the medication are killing people? That was his exact sentence. That corona. People lost their lives because of allopathy. Doctors who gave their lives, who worked day, night, day out. And people, how many crores of people were saved? The whole thing sounds just blasphemous to me.
Yeah. Keeping in mind the argument that had also been put by the Solicitor General of our country, by Tushar Mehta, he spoke about this. He did make a comment speaking about how there is nothing wrong in criticizing a particular line of medicine. So whether it is allopathy versus homeopathy or in this case Ayurveda, can a line be drawn? Because talking about modern medicine and particularly the concept that came from the West, putting down homeopathy and casting aspersions on Ayurveda, that was the trend and perhaps continues to be so even today. Dr. PSV Rao, would you like to comment on this?
To all of you. Good evening. Anyone's first priority has to be patient welfare. Anything which misleads the people who are ill or tries to take advantage of their desperation to get well is doing something extremely wrong. As has already been mentioned, there is a role for various forms of medicine depending on what they are really good at. Now, as a surgeon, and I would say that over the years of my career, I have seen many people just delaying a vital surgery and then getting into trouble. And they would have got delayed because someone would have told any Ayurveda or a homeopath or some other scheme of medicine says you do this and you won't need surgery. And there are a lot of people who would love to avoid surgery or avoid chemotherapy or avoid radiation, especially in cancers. Now, vaccine is proved it is used worldwide. You try to encourage resistance against vaccine. You add that too when there is a deadly pandemic going on. You are doing a huge you are creating a huge problem for the majority of people who are going to get misled. And like Dr. Rita Bakshi said, he is a very influential person. When it comes from his mouth, a lot of people will believe, yes, what he's saying is right and avoid vaccine. Eventually, it is the vaccines which put an end to the pandemic. Otherwise, this virus would have kept changing and kept killing all of us.
Okay.
Now, in cancer, if you delay, if you make the person think that without surgery or without chemo, radiation, you will be saved from cancer, that you are misleading. And like Dr. Sanjeev Bagai said, the time period will be so short that before it will be too late to save that patient. So these kind of misleading ads should be avoided. Fake drugs is another issue, and people who are not qualified, who are practicing medicine, is another issue. All these people are causing harm to patients.
Okay.
To the
Okay. Dr. Narendra Saini, I again want to, make the distinction over here about modern medicine, which is allopathy, and we talk about homeopathy, we talk about Ayurveda. Now, there have been, in fact, I have met a number of people, number of patients who, after not having found any solace, any, relief from allopathy, then end up switching to homeopathy, end up switching to Ayurveda. Now, when is it right? And as the other doctor said, in case a person is suffering from cancer, if there is no chemotherapy done, his lifespan will be shortened very, very fast, and there's no other way a patient can be treated. But how does a patient make a judgment call? Okay, I'll come back to Dr. Saini, but Dr. Bagai, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah. So I think what is important is that your medical period of deterioration becomes very narrow. Now, very often we've seen a patient going from stage 1 CKD to stage 2 CKD, which is chronic kidney disease, may take approximately a year or two. But if you stop the medication, you can progress from stage 2 straight on to stage 4 and 5 within a couple of months. Your hypertension can be out of control, your diabetes can be out of control, your proteinuria can be out of control, you can have convulsions, uremia, and so many other complications which are non-reversible. So I think it's important that the medication which is being promoted by a particular company, it has to be authenticated. Point number 2 is, if they say that they have the data, there is a scientific proof, and they say they have done multicentric trials, which are RCT, which is randomized control trials and things like that. Put the data out in public. I think if IMA has raised a question and if they are clean, they should share the data with IMA. I am all for scientific research, but it can't be camouflaged under the garb of a multinational which is purely on commercial interest. That's the first point. Second is, even for a fleeting second, I will never, and I don't think anyone on this panel or in our medical fraternity will ever criticize any other medical science as a field. We have very, very good friends and good relations with homeopathic, with Ayurvedic doctors. They're doing good work. What is working for them may not work for us, but it doesn't mean their medical science is any lesser. But we can't mix and match and make a absolutely jigsaw puzzle out of a patient. The patient has a right to choose where they need to go. But in moments of crisis, especially like a pandemic, where people are dying, there is oxygen shortage, there is vaccine to be rolled out, huge amount of catastrophe happening at every doorstep. Giving wrong information has been disastrous.
Yeah. Okay. Coming back to you, Dr. Rita Bakshi, in a situation such as this, now that the Supreme Court has asked for an affidavit once again from the company, from the owner and the brand ambassador, Baba Ramdev, it's a case that is going to be completely in favor of the IMA, which is fantastic news. Does it also give a precedent and teach several of these organizations and companies and brands to be cautious in sending out the kind of advertisements, the messaging, the publicization of their products to ensure that the safety, health and welfare of a patient is kept paramount?
So I agree. NMC has made rules even for doctors, what to advertise, how to advertise, and not to advertise. Now, IMA is, definitely it's, we are happy because, and as Dr. Bagai said, all of us hold in high esteem. I think it's wrong if she felt that, we are all against. No, none of us are. We know homeopathy works. We know Ayurvedic also works in some cases. But, everything has a place. There is no single doubt, because again, as he's right, there is so much of scientific data, so much of research has gone in, and then only these medicines come into market. I'm really not sure on how the Ayush and the other pathies work. So it's very important that they will also have to prove themselves in the market somewhere before they put out tall claims like that. Just putting tall claims is not really going to. I know public is gullible. You're suffering from such various diseases, and you would do anything, and specifically if it is as simple as taking a small granules of a sweet medicine. But in the end, I think it is very important that they should also come out with robust data, which is multicentric and which holds good in scientific literature. I think it's very, very important. And I'm sure IMA is going to have a meeting after, the whole thing gets over, and the board is going to decide on how to move forward, because although he's tendered an apology, but this definitely goes into the annals of history, and I'm sure it'll really be a hindrance to most of the other people who think in the same way.
Okay. Dr. P.S.V. Rao, the Supreme Court has also pulled up the central government, talking about why no action was taken despite these false claims that were being made by Patanjali. Also about particularly the statement that came from Baba Ramdev when he spoke during COVID that that allopathy and these vaccines will not work in giving the resistance against the virus. And he spoke about Coronil doing exactly the same job, which is an Ayurvedic treatment as been put forth by Baba Ramdev, by Patanjali. The same questions have been raised against the Uttarakhand government. Why do you think this action was not taken? How important was it for the government to intervene in this matter? And if it had intervened, the IMA would not have had to knock the doors of the courts.
Yes. One, you earlier asked, what is this Supreme Court judgment going to set a good example? Yes. Like recently, energy drinks have been it has been revealed that many of those energy drinks actually cause you harm. So, then there were other products which were being promoted as for the growth of children and healthy for the children, whereas they have also been exposed. So coming back to your present question, government and state, central government and the regulatory authorities have to be very sure about one, that no wrong advertisement and misinformation is spread either by advertising or through social media. and they have to be very active on it before harm is done to public at large. Second, they have to be very careful about fake medicine. Now, they are not even regulating the registered pharmacies. Where are they going to? Where they are doing? You will remember the recent fake medicine episode in Delhi, where some people were putting antifungal medicine into expensive chemotherapy bottles and selling them, and even trying to export them. Third, we have enough doctors, fake doctors. When I am a member, and I remember when we had brought this up years ago, the medical council said we can take action only against the registered doctors. We can't take action against people who are not registered with us. This is a huge problem. This is what the government should do. You can't have fake doctors. And you remember again in Delhi recently, you had these people doing surgeries who were not even qualified doctors. So government has to be very proactive, and the regulatory authorities, against fake medicine, fake doctors, and misinformation through the advertisements.
Okay, Dr. M.C. Mishra, quickly a response from you of this situation that has arisen and the court cases that have followed. Finally, IMA has gotten victory, the Supreme Court making a judgment in its favor. What is the precedent that has been set, and particularly questioning the problems that were incurred by the patients? Who are these patients that had followed Baba Ramdev, gotten influenced under his falseful claims, and how can the wrong be done right?
No, I think everybody has already spoken about Baba Ramdev. Baba Ramdev, I have been all the time saying that we have no quarrel with his yoga and yoga lessons. We have no quarrel with Ayurvedic medicines which he makes and markets. But whenever there is a conflict of interest by advertising which may have deleterious impact on some people, that should be cautioned. Here it's a legality. What court said, you submit affidavit, they did not submit, and then that's how the Supreme Court has pulled up that you appear personally, otherwise consequences would be severe. So that's different. That's a legality of the case. And it is neither the first company to have done that or last company to have done that. The number of pharma companies advertise, number of non-pharma companies also advertise, like you have, कि हम गोरा बना देंगे, इतनी सारी ये कॉस्मेटिक क्रीम्स आती हैं, शाहरुख खान उसके एडवर्टाइजमेंट करते हैं. So all that is happening in India. We have been questioning all that. IMA has been questioning all that, but there has not been a serious attempt to curb this menace in society. Of course, when Coronil was launched, we all questioned that he did some kind of a trial at NIMS University, but that was a very short trial, a small trial with some small number of patients. So what I have, my take on this is that do not claim to cure like cancer, particularly breast cancer, thyroid. When there is a well-formed tumor, you cannot put any claim that you can cure that. You can promote your medicines for chronic ailments as an adjunct to whatever allopathic medicine somebody is taking, not as a primary therapy for that. That if you take along with that, change your lifestyle, you change your dietary habits, you do physical activity along with taking Ayurvedic, the allopathic medicine, this will also serve as a prevention of, or at least reduce the dosages of the allopathic medicines. So that has been seen. Like we say, we do bariatric surgery for obesity. So it reduces the medicines taken for diabetes, hypertension, and many other problems. It resolves by just reduction of the weight. So I think that is where Mr. Ramdev also and his company also has to be cautious, along with many other pharma and non-pharma company advertising. There is a false advertisement claiming many things and fooling people. Although the role of yoga, the role of yoga in preventive health. Nobody questions that. Dr. Rita also said the same thing.
Yeah.
And we also agree with that. We all practice that actually on a daily basis. So that is where this has a little legality that they were asked to submit an affidavit. Both Balkrishna and Ramdev, they did not do that. That's why the court was upset. And when they said, we are sorry, they said, we are not going to accept that apology. So you have to come and appear in court. So I think it's a good thing that it has been taken seriously. And there is some closure on this so-called pseudo-advertising about claims, pseudo-claims about certain medications, whether it's Ayurveda, whether it's allopathy, whether it's homeopathy, whether it's any other. There are a lot of quacks in the country, and we are dealing with those quacks. And actually, this is now, maybe in coming decades, this problem would be less when there is digital technology. Otherwise, if you go to rural areas, there are a lot of people, they do not have access to allopathic health care. And some PHCs do not have doctors. They have doctors, they don't have medicine. So I think with Ayushman Bharat and wellness clinics, etc., I am sure this is going to help in creating awareness. Digital technology will curb this menace.
Yeah.
In India, the spurious medicines, in a big way, they are produced and marketed. If not in metropolitan towns, in small towns, and
absolutely, you're absolutely right. But you know, this case comes into focus because of the kind of popularity.
This case comes in focus because of Mr. Ramdev.
Yeah, Ramdev, because a company that is, I think, 31 crores, it has grown leaps and bounds in just a few years' time. It's Baba Ramdev. He has such a fan following and influence that counts to millions and millions of people. And it's not just the people from the rural areas, it's people from the urban areas, educated people, across all spectrum.
People also.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know, a sense of responsibility, a sense of being answerable to the public, a sense of their well-being and their welfare needs to be at the forefront. Okay, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. Stay tuned, because on the other side, we are going to reflect upon and analyze the legal action, that options that need to be provided to the people who have suffered by way of consuming the medicines, the tall claims that have been made by Patanjali Ayurveda. And can there be, in fact, a cohesive action taken? Because the first step has gotten over. The Supreme Court has come down heavily on Patanjali and Baba Ramdev. But what about the people who have suffered consequently because of following Baba Ramdev's false message?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.